Hi everybody, welcome to episode 30 of BitLapse. I am your host, Dave, here with a usual face, or voice I should say, Jamie.
What's going on, guys?
And for the first time ever, Kyle, finally joining us on the podcast, finally got a microphone, finally had the money to do something. Kyle, say hello.
Hey guys, what's up?
Wow.
Hey,
you know what though? That is 100 times better than Jamie's, so you're okay.
Blah.
Because at least you came off as smooth and not awkward like Jamie, like doing little shy girl things, sitting in the corner kind of stuff. But anyways, let's get started. We have very few topics, but one is like the elephant in the room that we're saving for last. You know, just to keep you guys on edge. So let's start out with something that's going to be good for us, because iOS 8 is going to have the podcast app native on the phone installed already, which means you can download our podcast easier and listen to it.
Now, I don't know. I mean, what does it mean by being native? I saw that.
Native means it comes already installed, factory installed. It's already there. So they can just open up the podcast app, type in BitLapse, see us, subscribe, download our episodes, listen on the fly. Easy peasy if you have an iOS device.
Yeah, like all that shovelware I have on my phone that just came with it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But it's not really shovelware because it's actual Apple putting it on there as a, you know, because you probably have an Android phone,
Yeah.
correct? Exactly. So we had the shovelware because of the different manufacturers like to put their own crap on there, and then they have people pay to put demos of games on there. Like my phone came with Madden. I didn't even try it because it looked like crap. I don't want to play Madden on a cell phone.
I don't know. That's interesting. I mean, that's kind of nice, though. And hopefully maybe Android, or actually the companies that make for Android phones, will actually start doing that as well. It'll actually start helping boosting the podcast community. They'll be on there more. You'll be able to access them a lot quicker. You don't have to download it. It's already on there for your phones. And there's a lot of people that watch, or listen to podcasts. So, I mean, it'd be a great little app to have on there.
Yeah, and like right now, a lot of people are looking elsewhere on app stores to find a podcast aggregator just to get all podcasts in the same spot and make it easier to listen to. There's a couple of premium apps out there that I've heard good things about, but I can't really recall them off the top of my head because I can't use my phone to listen to podcasts at work due to the area that I work in where I'm not allowed to have my cell phone. So... What? Why are you laughing? That's serious business, man. I work hard.
No, I have mine with me 24/7.
Yeah, I know, because you're never working. That's okay. But you know who else is probably not going to be working for very much longer? Notch.
That's true.
Guess what? You know what? You're half right. You're not fully right last week. Because there are different rules to what happened between this $2.5 billion deal for Microsoft buying Minecraft. One, it was Notch that actually went to Microsoft to offer to sell Mojang to them. Two, I said he wouldn't sell out for $2 billion, which he didn't. He sold out for $2.5 billion.
Ooh.
So guess what? You don't win that argument. It's all null and void. That argument never took place.
So
Neither
Kyle,
of us were right.
Kyle, what do you think about the whole takeover with Microsoft and Mojang?
Well, I actually think it could be a good thing for Microsoft, but with the whole Notch thing, he's pretty much set for life, and I think he said he was done with video games, wasn't he?
He didn't want to make something this big. He didn't want to have this much of an effect on the gaming industry as a whole, and he put up a blog post on his blog on notch.net where he said basically even if he starts making another game and it even has a hint of becoming what Minecraft has become, he's just going to abandon it. And I think it's just all that, you know, we see it so much now, people on social media just attacking developers whenever they don't like something. And I think it just kind of wore on him after a while, especially since he handed over the Minecraft development to a separate team, like probably 2 years ago. Yeah. So it's basically going to be him and two other founding members of Mojang that are leaving right after this buyout occurs, which I believe it's in the process of going through. The thing is, Phil Spencer came out and did say that they don't plan on removing any versions of the game, which is smart. They're going to keep them out there because they're gaining money, and there's estimates out there saying they will reclaim this $2.5 billion by June or the end of June next year. Which is crazy because that's just franchising, marketing,
the merchandise,
and just expansions. Exactly. It's kind of crazy it's that much money, though, for a game that is so huge, even though it's probably the most commonly overlooked game right now by mature gamers, I should say.
But he's smart. I mean, he's realizing that, he's seeing what the community's like out there. Besides knowing what the community's like there, he understands that, you know what, it's going to look like a knockoff if he makes another game that has any hint or any type of kind of feel of micro.
No, it's not that. He just doesn't. Did you read the blog post at all?
Yeah, I was reading a little bit as you were
because
talking.
it's just he even went into it that the one game that he was working on, he just felt immense pressure to live up to the Minecraft thing. And it's not the fact that he doesn't want to make a game and have it end up like Minecraft, like as a game. It's just he doesn't want that attention. He doesn't want to be that person in the spotlight that everybody thinks is so important. He's basically just a regular guy that's like, I'm glad I was able to make Minecraft, but it became too much for me. It's just, sure, he's rich, and it's easier for us to say, wow, having all that money must make life real easy. But at the same time, he's getting phone calls, emails, tweets, probably life threats, and all that stuff, just because somebody doesn't like a feature that might have been changed in an update and stuff like that. And it kind of sucks because, like we talked, I think it was 2 episodes ago with PewDiePie removing YouTube comments,
right?
That the loud minority is kind of making more of an effect on this industry than the people that are enjoying the games instead.
Oh, and that's obvious. I mean, it's always, the negative comment is always bigger than the positive comment, or even gets heard, more than the positive comment. It's very sad that ends up happening. But I mean, I understand where he's coming from. He's done. He wants to kind of let it go from what it is and let a bigger company take over, and basically, keep advertising it still with the merchandise and maybe add more content to it and not really change it. I mean, basically everything's laid out on the table for Microsoft. They don't really have to do anything except add new content.
They kind of planted these seeds a couple of years ago when they kind of got into the deal of saying, hey, we want Minecraft on Xbox 360, and Mojang just didn't have the right people for it. And I don't know how they found 4J Studios and finding the right fit to make that game for Xbox 360, but that ended up being huge. That was like the next evolution in that life of the game, not as in like a game design, but just the steps that had to take to get as big as it is today.
Right. I mean, I'm happy for him. He did what he wanted to do, and he's stepping in and walking away. I mean, then that's what like I was saying in the last podcast. He's just done. He just wants to get away. And like I was mostly speculating, the fact that maybe he was just done and just wants to take his money and do something totally different. And
pretty much that's what he's saying. He just wants to do. He's like 4 days before that, he was basically rewriting the Doom code.
Right, I saw that
from scratch into another programming language, and that was just based off of some early documented papers and stuff of the Doom stuff, and he was doing it all by himself, trying to figure out how it worked and stuff like that. And he doesn't even see himself as a game developer.
Yeah,
which it's kind of weird because of all the stuff you heard, like about the Minecraft parties at like PAX and E3 and stuff like that, where they're just out of control and elaborate and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it all kinds of makes sense. And it's nice to see someone that knows when to, step away.
Right.
Do you know, does Notch actually go to those events? Because...
Yes, he showed up at those Minecraft parties. And there was a little bit of a problem at one of them with scantily clad women and stuff like that, and he kind of stepped back and apologized for the events that happened that night and stuff like that. So he usually shows up firsthand.
Well, that's cool. At least he goes to the events and hangs out. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with what was wrong with the events that had scantily clad people?
Well, there was several people acting
just
questionably, yes.
Okay.
In that environment, and they didn't think that those girls should have been there in the first place and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of weird. But like we said earlier, let's move to the elephant. Destiny. We said that we're going to talk about it in depth after we've had. Well, man, I looked at my legend on the app, and I have 30 hours into the game.
I was trying to look that. I didn't see where it was at. Maybe I missed it. But yeah, I mean, we put a lot of hours into it.
And the funny thing is, Kyle just made this like whole amazed look at me, even though he's probably put in more time than I have. He's looking for his phone right now, trying to find the app.
Yeah, I can't find my phone.
And we all kind of shall we say?
Yeah, we'll let you go first, Jamie. Tell us if your experience has changed since that first couple of days. And what do you think now? Even though you haven't had much time because you're busy dealing with all your wedding stuff and your daughter just got married. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Well, it's changed a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. And I think everybody feels the same way. And it's a great game. And I reading a lot of people's reviews and going through the thing. One of the guys from, I believe it was, I don't think it was IGN. It was one of the other ones. Oh, Polygon. He basically said it's one of those games that has a lot of problems, but you still go back to it. And it's because there is something about the game that keeps you interested in what's going to happen. And I think that's where I'm at in the game. Part of it, I mean, me being just right before we started recording, I just hit soft level cap, level 20. And so going through the missions, going through the motions, to me, it's just a normal MMO, but with a first-person shooter. And I'm enjoying the game, but like everybody else says, it's missing. There's stuff that's missing. We don't have a full story, and there is a lot of repetitiveness. At the same time, there's a lot of stuff that really just doesn't matter. One, for instance, is class. It doesn't matter what class you are. You can use all the same guns, and you can wear all the same gear. So,
No.
Yes.
No, there is class-specific gear.
I haven't. Is there any legendary gear? Because I haven't.
Yes,
like I said,
there's class-specific legendary gear. If you go to the Vanguard sellers, they have class-specific gear.
Okay, so once you hit that level cap and get to the legendary gear, obviously, so there's gear that I haven't seen yet that's specific to my class. But the vast majority of it, from level, basically until you can get to the legendary gear, everything is the same. And so there's really no class specific. So it doesn't matter what you are, even going into the raids, there's no real big deal. And obviously,
basically the biggest difference between all the classes is the special abilities.
Exactly.
And those have very minor effect on like the overall gameplay, because I'm not even like thinking about starting a second character because there's really no difference.
No. What's that called?
Those supers are really the only thing that pretty much splits classes apart from what
I've seen. There are only like 4 variations of the super. 2 for the main. Right. Because you have 2 different class styles, and then 2 for the melee because of the 2 different class styles again. So it's just there's not enough variation there to entice me to try another class out.
Though there are, and I was talking to Kyle about this while we were finishing up, and there's I guess a slot for it, but having a
slot
for
the third
subclass. But again, that might be in the DLC stuff. But ultimately, I'm still enjoying the game. I'm not a big PvP person, just in general. I just kind of suck at it. But overall, I'm enjoying the game. I want to get the DLC. I want to see where this game's going to evolve. I understand. To me, one of the good examples is that this is a bare bone game that's going to evolve, and I kind of feel that's what it is right now. Even though that's not what people wanted into this game, that there should have been more fuller, richer story, more lore, better class stuff.
There's a reason that people wanted that. It's because that's what Bungie was talking.
But
and that's what I'll get to in my portion.
Right.
I'm just trying to add to it a little bit to your side, but I'm like, there's an expectation there. Just because Bungie created that expectation.
And I understand, and I get that. But maybe this is a new take on how they're doing things. Maybe they're just changing it up a little bit, not trying to be the same with the Halos, where the story was pretty much the main part of it as well as the good combat. Now it sounds like
to be fair, the story in Halo was all over the place.
But it was good. It was a good I like
the end of Halo 2.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Oh, come
Halo
on.
2's ending was the weakest, but it was just setting up for 3. The whole trilogy to me was
Even
just set.
3 was disappointing when they kept on saying, "Oh yeah, finish the war," and then you didn't really finish the war.
Right. But back to what we were saying in regards to, like you were saying about building a second class, I built one. I'm just going to keep it there when this game starts to evolve more. This is my thinking, my theory. Again, this is all speculation. Once it evolves, I'll start working on that second class. But ultimately, yeah, I'm still enjoying the game. We're all still playing the game. I'm really wanting to get to the raids. I've heard a lot about the raids. I haven't even seen any gameplay of the raids.
One raid.
Well, there's going to be multiple raids, but the raid that we
but
have
they
access
haven't
to.
mentioned multiple raids yet. They've only talked about one.
No, they've mentioned that there's going to be multiple raids, but as of right now, there's only one available to us.
Yeah, we don't know when the next one will be available. It could be the DLC.
Correct.
For all that we know, which comes in December, which is 3 months away from now.
Right, but to finish mine, I'm still happy with the game. What I'm surprised about with you, and maybe we can either intro or segue into you or segue into Kyle, is that I'm shocked to see that you're continuing as, not that you were down, but it wasn't all, the game wasn't all that big for you. But the fact that you hit level cap before I did, it seems like you're enjoying the game.
Well, there's also the fact that I'm better at shooters than you are.
True, you are in first person shooter.
Like right now, I looked up on the app earlier. I have put 30 hours into the game, and I have almost 10,000 kills.
Yeah, I got to look at all that, but
yeah,
ultimately,
I saw Kyle's. It was like
mine,
23 hours, only 4,000 kills.
No, yeah,
so.
I have like exactly 20 hours and like probably 30 minutes, I think I said, and I have around like 4,500 kills, and I'm into these kind of games, and I've even purchased it. And seeing Dave actually, you have it rented right now, and you putting in that much actual time, like
game time,
dude, you should have bought it. Like for the amount of time.
Well,
you put in so far,
I'll get to that when I do my portion. And the good thing is Jamie is really hardcore into MMOs, and I really want to get your point of view, Kyle, because you like MMOs, you get lost in MMOs just like Jamie does, but you also really like first person shooters.
Yeah.
And you're actually good at them, unlike Jamie. Sorry, Jamie, but you're just not very good at first person shooters. No, you already know this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not.
It's all the whole Twitch reaction stuff and.
Well, and I don't know, maybe I'm...
Have you actually... Wait, before we move on from Jamie, have you ever played... Did you even play, like, one match of the PvP?
I did, and I sucked at it.
Okay. That's...
Yeah.
So, was that enough to turn you away from the PvP?
No, I mean, obviously, if you guys were all playing it, I'd join in, and,
But you would never venture in by yourself?
No. I wouldn't. It's not something that and I think a lot of people said the same thing. It's a bare bones PvP game. It's not a Call of Duty or a Battlefield 3 type of PvP. So
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's very bare bones since you are getting gear and in October the Iron Banner event comes up where your gear actually keeps its attributes. Then there's also when they actually, I think every week they put out a new playlist.
Uh-huh.
So I think they're doing enough to keep that PvP fresh. If
it's
that's
okay.
what you're coming for.
But what I'm trying to get at, it's competitive, but not competitive like the Call of Duties, the Titanfalls, the Battlefield 3s. There is that competitive, but not to the level
and
of
not for
Call
you.
of Duty.
Yeah, but you've done talk Call of Duty on its competitiveness before too, because you prefer Battlefield. So before we get into that argument again, let's go over to Kyle.
Yeah, Call of Duty is very, very competitive, and I don't think Battlefield is that competitive.
No, Battlefield you don't really see in like an MLG scene like you used to see Halo and you see Call of Duty now. Whether or not, I don't think Destiny will get to that level either, but it is still a competitive multiplayer game, especially when you start getting into those new game modes and people are actually really digging it as opposed to, just saying, well, like for me, I just choose not to do the PvP.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played one match of it, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
Even though I keep on getting invites to go play, I'm like, I just don't care about it one bit. I played like 4 or 5 hours of it in the beta. I got maybe one loot drop in that 5 hours, even though I was on top of the scoreboard every time, and that was enough for me to say, that's okay, whatever. I don't need to do this.
It's actually changed a little bit. I probably get a meaningful piece of gear like once every 3 games. I'll probably still get one or I'll get a piece of gear every other game. They're handing out gear a lot more than they were in the beta for the Crucible, and the bad thing is though it is very randomized. Like Jason, Jameson, was telling me that he was on a losing team one time, and the guy who did the worst got like a legendary drop, which are pretty rare in the game, and he just got you got a legendary drop for almost doing nothing. It's completely randomized when it comes to the Crucible.
There's a post on Reddit where somebody's like, don't you hate it when somebody joins a match with like a minute left and they don't even get a kill and their team loses by like 1,000 points and they get the legendary drop? It's just
that's horrible.
It's like in everyday life, you go to work, you work your butt off the entire time, and then the person that has called in sick for probably most of the time, like 50% of the days, gets a bigger raise than you. You're like, how does that happen? It's just it kind of hurts when that happens, and that's why you see a lot of people complaining on Twitter and stuff when that happens, because they don't feel like they're getting rewarded or for what they're doing. It doesn't matter if you're good or not.
Yeah, the loot system in Destiny is very flawed, I'd say. It doesn't have any real definition to it. It's all just completely randomized, like hardcore randomized.
Now, just mind people in general, when we're speaking of the game, we're speaking of what we've played and what we've seen at this time. I mean, I think, honestly, it's going to change. I think there's going to be a lot of tweaks to the game, just like most MMOs, and those who don't play PC MMOs.
Jamie,
what?
Stop apologizing.
Us, whatever. Point being is that, well, people may not know that, that don't play the MMO, have only been on consoles, that they get tweaked as games come out.
Well, shooters get tweaked all the time, too.
Yeah, but
it's nothing new, but the way that this game should evolve, whether or not Bungie actually takes it that direction outside of the DLC, it still remains to be seen.
Well, I mean, obviously you can see that they're supporting it well, because we've already had 2 patches come out. One, the first major patch.
Patches don't mean anything.
Yeah, there's balancing that's being done.
Yeah, one of them actually, I think the very first patch actually increased the...
Yeah, but I'm saying those every game now gets patches like that. So that's really nothing different. I'm talking about new content, new stuff to do.
No.
Yeah, but that's the DLC. I'm saying if they're going to add anything new besides what's going to be in the DLC.
I think a lot of it is just going to be a lot of tweaking. I think for the first maybe
and that's really
3 months.
The tweaking has no effect on me because I don't play the PvP. Most of the tweaks are going into the PvP themselves.
Look, the other thing that they made different was that they added more main events, or what do they call those?
Not yet. Those are supposed to be coming. They're supposed to happen more often.
Right.
And what I've noticed is when those events happen now, I'm usually the only one at them.
Well, and that's true. I mean, I've actually run into a couple where it's been like that, but there's been other instances and other cases where I've had 4 or 5 guys with me, and we tore down the guy, and we've got the achievement for the gold.
And I'm wondering if that's because you're lower level, that they're trying to match you on a server with people you're similar level that are actually looking for that, as opposed to me, who I'm up at 23, 24. Usually that's all the levels I see. And they're just there to farm like engrams and loot and stuff, as opposed to me, where I see an event, I'm still going to go do it.
Yeah, like, I believe even, it was probably an hour ago, right before we came on to record, me and Jamie were actually playing, and an event came up, and there were like 6 people there. We completed the event within a couple minutes, and it was quick, and we got rewarded for it pretty well. Marks. Yeah,
so the past 5 events for me, I've had only one where there was more than one person there.
Right.
All the other ones I've been there by myself, while other people are just off. It might be a result of me being on the East Coast, and they keep on putting me on East Coast servers, even though I'm playing at 3 in the morning, just because of my lifestyle and stuff. But it's just, it kind of sucks, but I'm at the level right now where I can actually do those events by myself.
Yeah, well,
so it's no big deal, but it's just I would prefer a little bit more interaction. And unfortunately, there are all these videos out there of certain areas on these planets where it's easy to farm for loot. And unfortunately, whenever I go there for a bounty mission or something like that, I have a hard time trying to kill people.
Because everybody's
Because there's always somebody there killing everything in the area, and then it respawns and it kills everything in the area. So it just kind of ruins the game or the experience for me, because this guy is trying to farm loot.
Well, and I think it's just in that one instance. I mean, just for same thing, it almost the same thing happened to me.
No, it's every instance I've gotten into ever since that video was put out of somebody basically. If you have you seen the video I'm
the Venus
referencing?
one?
Yes, the Venus
Yeah,
one.
I've
Have you, Jamie?
actually gone there a couple times myself.
Well, basically, imagine like a circular area where all you see is Ingrams on the ground, and I'm talking like 100 Ingrams.
It's a damn pit.
Green,
Yeah.
purple, blues, and he was just sitting there killing stuff. And he shows people how to do this to get all this loot faster. And now everybody goes there to that certain area and does that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we were there
But that's
today.
what.
And that's every instance I go to. There's somebody sitting there trying to farm it, and
Well-
it sucks because sometimes there's a bounty where I have to kill like the hobgoblins,
Right,
And I
right.
have to kill like 4 of them, and there's only 2 that spawn in that area,
Right.
and they're just killing everything
Though
in sight.
It's unfortunate though that you're going to get that in any MMO. I mean, there are areas in World of Warcraft where people go and farm. It's the same place for ore or titanium,
Yeah,
whatever
but
it is.
then again, this game isn't an MMO.
You keep saying that every
Well, 'cause-
one that I've read it says MMO. You can
No,
say
but
that
it's a
not.
hybrid,
It's like
and that's what Bungie likes to
Need
call
for
it.
Speed Rivals.
It's
To me, that's
it's
how it works.
close
Kind
to
of,
that,
kind of,
but
not completely.
it's
but
like, to get to my points, it has to be a hybrid, because if you break it down to a shooter, it's not good. It has a good shooting mechanic, but the story sucks. You're constantly retreading through the same levels because right when you finish the mission, they put you back into your ship, which is, okay, and then you have to go back down, 30 seconds of loading, retread through that same part, and they don't even try to, ignore the fact your little ghost keeps on saying, oh yeah, we have to go back through the mouth of whatever, and we have to go deeper this time.
Right.
And it's just, like, as a shooter, if you just look at it as a shooter, it's got good shooting mechanics, but it's not a very good game. Then if you look at it as just an MMO, there's definitely not enough content there.
very
and
watered
there's
down.
very
yeah.
watered down,
Wow.
and there's
MMO.
definitely not enough loot. And so that's why I see this as Bungie taking two things that, like the shooter, which they know how to do well, and trying to add in all these MMO elements
Right.
and making something new. And it's a good foundation,
But
but
call
it's
it.
not entirely a filled house yet.
Look, I get what they're trying to do is to try to stay away from the MMO thing, but they really. If you
They
have
can't own up to the MMO stuff because it's
You
not a
can't.
good MMO.
No, I get that.
That's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is that even though it's not a good MMO, it still has the MMO feel. And the same thing with the
Well, it has
first-person
a shooter feel. That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. That's why it's a hybrid.
That's why you need to call it a first-person MMO.
That's why.
yeah,
That's what they call a first-person hybrid MMO. That's why I'm saying hybrid.
the lack
It's a combination of the two.
the lack of the
Oh.
option of communication in the game is very startling in terms
Okay,
of
so-
Yeah, but you
the
know what though?
PvP.
The amount.
You can't talk to your teammates unless you're in a fire team with them.
I see how it affects the PvP, but any other portion of the game,
Even if
you don't really need communication because you're always moving forward, shooting stuff.
Even if you
But-
if
no,
you go
I disagree.
into a strike, if you do the Vanguard matchmaking, you
Exactly.
go into a strike, and the people just aren't part of your fire team because it doesn't automatically put them in your fire team.
I've had no problems doing the Vanguard playlist.
No,
with random
it's
people.
not about a problem not doing it. It's a problem of being able to communicate and what you're trying to achieve. What if he has bounties and you guys are working together on the strike team? He's putting in a strike team to get that done, but at the same time to get bounties done. I mean, if like it's
Yeah,
an
but
easy,
that's if you're doing bounties, you're probably gonna go to the patrol missions as opposed to the Vanguard strike list. If you're going to Vanguard strike list, you're there to beat the boss, and everybody's on the same page because they're always moving forward. And I've noticed that that's the only way I've been playing the strike list is with random people, and it's been working. So I don't know why you would need to communicate with these bosses, because the only thing that you need to say is, "Hey, I'm down. I need to be revived."
Yeah, but there's a problem that I've seen recently with the new raid that they released. They are, for people to actually do this raid, of course, they need to be friends, and I've actually seen some forums pop up for people to actually try to get together and take on these raids, and it's kind of I think Bungie should have at least put in some sort of matchmaker for that, because I don't think people should have to go onto a forum to help find people to actually do a raid with them.
Well, I can see why they had to do that, as because if you look into the raid, it's about 10 hours.
Yeah.
And like if you start with like 6 people, you can stop at any time and go back to that point, but you have to bring in the same 6 people. So if you're doing that with random people, that means you have to talk to that random person to come back whenever you guys plan on doing the raid again. The raid is like playing through another whole story mode,
Yeah, I mean,
in my opinion. I haven't touched it yet,
yeah,
and I'm trying to stay away from anything about the raid so I can actually be surprised. The only thing I know about the raids is it has 8 bosses.
yeah,
And that's it.
If that's 10 hours long, that's literally like the same length as some game's actual entire single player portion.
Yeah, that's half the length of the Destiny single player.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to mention something in regards to fixing a lot of problems with the communication. Why don't they? We already have keyboard. Why don't they just add a chat to it?
Because not everybody sits there with a keyboard hooked up to their Xbox One.
Understandable, but the ability's
Final
there.
Fantasy 11 on the 360. I remember.
Yeah,
playing
but
that.
you know what? The people that play Final Fantasy 11 are totally different from the people that are going to play a shooter.
Yeah, it's very casual oriented. Like
Right,
focused.
and I get that. And all I'm saying is that the way that they can fix a lot of what people are complaining about, because there is people complaining about not being able to have that communication. And it's easy. All you got to do is be able to use, or allow us to use a keyboard to chat, or to put, it'll even
not really.
Yes.
It's because it's the same reason why we are always in a party chat when we go into a lobby. It's because we try to avoid the assholes.
Nah, but if it's okay, like Paul Tassi said from Forbes, he basically said he doesn't have enough people to do a raid, okay? All I'm saying is that he has to do is, if they allowed it, that would fix the ability to find people to do raids now, instead of not having because they don't have an in-game.
Yeah, but what you just
matchmaking.
missed, because what the people listening didn't know, that you went to go answer the door real quick. What I said is that these raids you don't play in one sitting.
No,
you can
I'm
stop
not
and
even
then
talking-
resume it. And if you do a matchmaking like system for the raid, that means you have to talk to these random people and to get back online at the same time as you plan with your friends to get back online.
Right. I was referring for not just only the raids, but more of the strike missions too, because
You don't need it for the strike missions. I was just saying, like, you also missed this, that basically if you get into a strike mission, you're there to beat the strike. And the only time that you should need to know anybody's having trouble is when they're down. And the game communicates to you that they are down. They're saying, a guardian has fallen. They put big letters on the screen saying that you're the last guardian. And I have had 0 problems playing with random people with those strike missions and being successful in a very short amount of time.
But that's you. I'm saying there are people out there who don't have a full group, who need to get a full group, and being able to allow us to do free matchmaking or do matchmaking and add.
But basically, what I'm saying is these strike missions aren't anything that requires a lot of teamwork in the first place.
But I'm also referring to the raids as well.
Yeah, but we can't talk about the raids because we haven't actually played them.
I understand, but I'm just saying people in general to be able. I'm just trying to find other ways to fix Destiny, and I think that's a core issue is the communication.
There's a ton of things wrong with Destiny. It is a good game. It's not an amazing game, but it is an addicting game. If you let it get its hooks into you. Unfortunately for me, I am conflicted because I still want to play Diablo.
Right.
Because I feel the only reason why I'm still playing Destiny right now, and I haven't bought it yet, is because I want to see what the raid is like.
Right.
And if the raid actually does something impressive and something different from what I have already been playing for 30 hours, then I'll probably end up buying the game.
Well,
but if it does the same thing where I'm going from point A to point B, wait for my ghost to hack a computer, kill 3 waves, then move on, kill a bullet sponge boss.
No, it's nothing like that.
Don't tell me, because I'm trying to.
I understand.
I want no spoilers. And the thing is, have you seen?
No.
The raid? So how do you know it's not like that?
Because I've read a lot of people what they're saying. A lot of the people from IGN, Forbes, Polygon, they basically they don't give any spoilers, but they basically give you the gist of what you're saying. And all I'm gonna say is what they've told me was, or what I've read, it's totally different. That's
You'll be
what.
your puzzles you want in there that require more people. I heard.
I didn't want to
If
tell
there
him
are
that,
puzzles,
but
I've heard there's puzzles.
yeah. Okay,
I still don't want to know the specifics because I want to know if it's actually worth playing. Otherwise, because like there was one strike mission where my hand was starting to cramp and I wasn't even having fun. That was my trigger finger cramping because all it is shooting the same leg over and over and over again until it explodes.
What was that? Which one was that?
It was the first strike mission. Remember the first one we did? I'm like, my fingers cramped. And like, it wasn't even fun. It was just a big bullet sponge. It took us 30 minutes to kill just because we aren't doing enough damage to it. And it has so much health. It's just, it's not fun. But for some reason, I'm still playing the game. And that's maybe because...
Which strike? What was that?
What's the first strike? The Devil's Lair.
No. I was gonna say
it's pretty much every strike is like that.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That what was that one strike mission where the guy's chained up? And...
That's the moon.
Okay, so that one I was getting very pissed off at. I was getting to the point where it was like, are you seriously? We had to basically run around trying to maintain the ads at the same time try to kill the boss. It was getting too annoying for me just because the fact is that I couldn't concentrate on the boss, but I had to now try to concentrate or try to split my concentration on the ads and the boss, and it was just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I just didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. But I mean, we ended up killing it, but it was like you said.
Yeah, but it took way too long, and there's stuff that could be difficult, but the way that Destiny handles difficulty is by adding more enemies, having them do more damage, have them with more life. Yeah, they don't actually get smarter AI, and the AI in this game, it's non-existent. And the funny thing is, I was playing this morning, and Kyle probably won't remember this game because he's way too young. He's the baby of the group here, and I saw a drag like pop out of cover, and I'm like, is that the Mad Dog McCree animation? That's what I was... Basically, Mad Dog McCree was a full-motion video game back in the early 90s. It was a shooter. Yeah. Based in the Old West. People dressed up as like cowboys would step out, act like they're shooting at you, then you shoot them with the light gun.
Yeah.
That's what they look. That's what the drag looked like when they were doing that. And the AI is so stupid that, like, seriously, they're shooting at my position where I was, and you could clearly see me running up behind them, and then they just like don't know what to do.
Well, I think they have
stupid. Two modes. It's either run away from you or to melee you.
Yeah, they just run after you for like 50
It's so
yards
disappointing from a company like Bungie to put AI out like that, because they've done well with AI in the past with Halo.
Well,
this just seems like puzzling why they would go with this, and that's probably because I'm looking at it as a shooter, while most MMOs, this is acceptable AI.
Well, and here's my thought though. I thought the captains were actually pretty decent and smart, because when I try to do a supercharge at them, they disappear right when I threw it.
That's because that was the second mode. Like we said, there's two states. They run away or they charge you. And he was in the run away state.
Yeah, those guys who teleport, like, move out of the way of your rockets and all that
And
stuff.
usually when you shoot off their shield, they go behind cover. Otherwise they'll just sit out there just firing at you.
Yeah. Well, they're not the most intelligent one, but they're not the most stupid either.
But that's why I'm saying, if I up the difficulty, I want them to get smarter, not become bullet sponges where it takes me forever to kill them.
Yeah,
and these bosses are just big things in the center of a stage where you're just unloading every single bullet you have at them, and it's not any fun.
Right.
And that's why, like, a lot of what, even like people that are complaining about the reviews and stuff coming out too early because they didn't play the raid or anything like that, it's hard to say that this 10-hour raid is going to erase the 20 to 30 hours of gameplay you've already put into the game, because that's already set in my mind what that part of the game is. And sure, it has some of its hooks in me, but guess what? I had the Neverwinter hooks into me too, and that lasted for like 2 weeks. And my ultimate judgment of this game will be after 2 weeks if I'm still playing it. Right. And sure, they have the Queen's Wrath event that starts up September 23rd, but from what I'm seeing from that it's just different modifiers for missions and a couple different bounties. So I'm just like, I don't know. It's a very puzzling game for me. At points, it's hard for me to recommend. I just had a friend earlier text me saying, hey, should I get Destiny? And I'm like, for you, probably not. And just knowing his character, and he was like, well, I'm just looking for like an adventure shooting game with a good story. And I'm like, well, Destiny has a dumb story where they don't explain any of the enemies like beforehand.
That grimoire is up there, you know.
Yeah, but like we were talking, me and Jamie were talking before this, that I tried to read a little bit like at lunch when I was at work, and that grimoire is a mess. Yeesh. And if you don't have certain cards, you don't know where to start, you don't know where it ends, and it's like that's lore. That's lore for the game. That's stuff that is supposed to exist in the background, but they don't do a good job translating any of that in game. Just like these events, like why aren't we seeing notifications that hey, the Queen's Wrath is coming September 23rd in the game? Because a lot of people that play this game aren't going to go on the internet, aren't going to go on Twitter, aren't going to go on Bungie.net to see all this stuff, just like the Grimoire cards. Nobody's, like, I don't want to use the Destiny app. The only reason I use the Destiny app is to show off my character.
Dude, you can, and that's it. You can check, what that app is crazy. You can check, like, the shops and their inventories, and you can check the bounty person and their cooldowns and when they'll get new gear and all that stuff.
Oh, don't even get me started on new gear. How does the shopkeeper with the shaders have the same 4 since the beginning of the game launch? And she's supposed to refresh every 24 hours.
The rest are up to RNG. She just uploads, or she just refreshes those emblems. The rest you have to earn. I've earned one through PvP.
Yes, yeah, I just earned the one that they gave in the story mission, and then I found, well, there's codes to redeem on the website all over the place. I redeemed one for like the all blue armor.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. Like it's one of those games that just has me so conflicted that I see the promise of the game, and like right now it's not there.
Right.
I feel sort of similar, but I'm gonna actually support it as in, you know, I've already bought it, and I believe I'm gonna end up buying the expansions just to try them out. Like, I'd give this game like a hard 7, like nothing more yet. Maybe even dip down to 6.5, honestly, but for some reason, I keep coming back. Like, it's just average, it's mediocre to me, but it's addictive for some reason.
Yeah, it's like I've said in the past, it's okay to have fun with bad games, or games that aren't great. And Destiny is definitely not great. It has the foundation of being something awesome.
And I think it could evolve.
It is going to evolve. Whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing remains to be seen. I usually am skeptical when I'm trying to trust developers into making something better.
Yeah, but this is Bungie. I can't see them.
Yeah, this is Bungie.
Didn't a lot of the big people in Bungie, the high ups, the creative talent, didn't all of them move to 343 with the
Oh no! Basically, whoever was really into Halo, they went to 343. But a lot of the core functionality of Bungie is still there. That's why you see a lot of the common story treads that Bungie likes to go through, like AI that's kind of gone rampant and stuff like that.
In some places.
Yeah. Very same animations.
Sound
like
even.
You could see, yeah. But the more I played the game, the less I saw Halo, and I saw more of its individuality.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just
I
don't trust Bungie that much because, like I said during your review, Jamie, is that they have done so much talking and so much marketing, and all the language is leading to these expectations, and then people amp that up even more, and the hype creates, and then all of a sudden the game comes out and it underwhelms to a lot of people.
I was excited for that story, you know, all those trailers, they made it seem like it was going to be great.
They're hyping the story.
Yeah.
At one point, they were hyping that the gear actually mattered. Like, we'd meet on the tower. You're like, oh my god, that gun is amazing. How'd you get that gun? But that hasn't happened yet. Or even armor. I don't care what it looks like. I just care if it has a light attribute that's a little bit higher than the other one, or that it, like, allows me to have more ammo in my hand cannon. I don't care what it looks like. That's what the shader's for.
I just think
even then it's hard to get shaders.
It's only happened once to me today. Literally today, probably 2 hours ago. I was at the tower, and there was a guy who had an exotic helmet that you weren't able to buy, so that means he actually got this through an engram or something, and it looked crazy cool. It had these nuts stats on it. It was just awesome, and I was like, man, where'd he get that? That was the first moment that I've had with this game. But
and then unfortunately, as I found out from last night when I got my first piece of exotic gear from a drop, is you can only have one exotic weapon equipped at a time and one piece of exotic armor, and that's it.
Well, that's kind of stupid.
That's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I think the armor sets that will come out of the raid is probably going to be legendary gear, so you can probably have a whole set.
That's what they need to make. So they need to put sets together.
They do.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people with some of the Crucible
With the
sets,
sets?
actually. Yeah, I saw a guy with one of the full Crucible clan sets, or what do they call them? The
Factions.
Yeah, the faction sets. He had a full set of that with even the faction gun and stuff. So he played lots of PvP, as you can tell.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, have you guys joined any of the factions?
I have.
No.
I hit rank 1 with, I think, like the Future War Cult. They're like a bluish kind of, I don't know. They're one of them,
I like
but I
the
just
white
hit
one.
rank 1 with them.
Yeah, that was another thing. Like, just looking at those factions during like the beta, I noticed that they were there, but there's really no differentiation between them.
Yeah.
There's really no reason for them to have 3 right now. Of course,
Just
that
colors.
might change in the future, but I don't know. I like, they're not explaining it enough to make me buy it yet. But like, I could easily be disappointed in the raid and then transition back into Diablo 3, and I would probably have no problem with it. Because I think Diablo 3 is a better game.
Well, obviously, I mean, they had to do same thing with Diablo or Blizzard. They had to tweak the game a lot. It was really bad at first. It was horrible. I mean,
I wouldn't say it was horrible. You loved it at the beginning.
Well, look, I like the game.
How many hours did you play when it first came out?
Look, but it's still
You said it was amazing at the time, and you're like, well, I don't know why you don't like it.
Well, my thing was that I liked the gameplay. The gameplay was good, but there was a lot of still problems with the loot system. You know, they had to change the whole loot system. They got rid of the auction house. Those were huge problems within the game itself. The gameplay in itself, the combat was, you know, it's the normal Diablo, but that part was great. But what made it bad, just kind of like with Destiny, it had its problems. And that was the loot and the auction house. Same thing with Destiny. You know, it has great gameplay. It has, you know, this wonderful.
I wouldn't say it has great gameplay. I say it has good mechanics.
Okay, yeah. I agree with you. Great mechanics, but it lacks in certain things, and it's missing certain things. And what did Blizzard do? For Diablo 3, they revamped the whole loot system. They tossed out the auction house. Bungie's going to have to go back and do the same thing.
Revamp the loot system because they tossed the auction house.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, and I think that's what's going to happen. And I think a lot of people were upset that, you know, they're missing, you know, this shouldn't be a $60 game. This should be maybe a $25 game.
I wouldn't say that at all. I haven't seen anyone saying that it should be a $25 game.
Well, no, not that. But I'm just making an example.
Because graphically, this game is quite impressive.
It's gorgeous.
They did a really good job at it. After spending so much time patrolling, these levels aren't actually that big at all.
Yeah.
No,
and
not as big as
the fact that Bungie came out saying this is the biggest game we've ever made, and I always felt like those Halo levels were kind of bigger.
Yeah.
And it's just weird because I can spend an hour or two patrolling one of these maps or a planet, and I feel like I've seen everything. Mm-hmm. But then you go to something like a Grand Theft Auto, and I can spend 50 hours in that game and not see the entire city.
Yeah.
So there's the differentiating factor, not to mention all the invisible walls, the invisible ceilings of the game. It has the appearance of being an open game, but really it is a very closed
just like
structure.
A first-person shooter, kind of like Halo. How they have these giant levels that you just traverse through over an hour.
Yeah, but they would actually put stuff in the way.
Yeah.
To stop you from getting out of bounds. In this game, if you go out of bounds, you have a 5-second timer to get back in bounds, otherwise they kill you. And that timer is not 5 seconds. They say 5 seconds, but that thing is going fast. Yeah. Like you barely have enough time to react. Before you look down, it's already at 4. So there's like no chance to get back.
I think it was on the moon where there's an area where you can fall down. Oh man, I was on my speeder or what do they call it? And I fell down and I was trying to get back and the counter's counting down. It's like, you got to get back into the area, 5, 4, and my speeder's all trying to get up to the top. And then, you know, like you said, you end up dying. It's like, I don't know if they're really, those areas are kind of useless. I really wish they didn't have those kind of areas that drop off, especially in the middle of the map. At the edges or something, I can see that happening. But if you're in the middle of the map, why have areas where you can fall down or die just because? I mean, I understand they're trying to make it look like some sort of.
Yeah, they're trying to give you the
craters.
appearance that you're in a huge area, but you're really not.
It's different. But let me ask you this, Dave. Ultimately, what would you, if you had to score this from what you've played, what would you give this? I mean, Kyle's saying between a 6.5.
I don't like giving scores to games.
Okay, so
I'm already past that part of my internet life where I would rather have fun with a game than give it a score.
Yeah, but okay, so don't give it a
like
score.
I said, this game is for a particular crowd, an audience, and I have to know the person if I want to actually recommend it, because I know some people have never played an MMO, and it might be turned away by the tremendous amount of grinding that there is in it, especially once you get to level 20. It just becomes a grind where you're trying to get lucky, or you're trying to earn enough points to buy the gear. And that would turn a lot of people off that I know. So especially like the Call of Duty players that are looking for something new right now.
Yeah, well, they're waiting. The Call of Duty should be out shortly, but... my thing is that, so if somebody came up to you that you didn't know and they said, hey, what do you think of Destiny?
Then I would give them the whole thing. It's not really a great shooter. It's not really a great MMO, but it's a good little hybrid game that has shooting mechanics that are solid. And it will grasp you with a loot system that you're trying to grind. And hopefully Bungie keeps to their promise and keeps on evolving the game over the next 10 years. But you know what? It's a businessman trying to promise you something, and you're not signing a contract. Take that for what it is.
True.
But, odds are, just like what I did for my friend earlier, I recommended Diablo over Destiny.
You're mean.
Why is that mean?
No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Because Diablo, like you even admitted, is a better game.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It has a lot of it's a better structured game than Destiny. Right now, it's a lot of, in Destiny, is like we don't know exactly what's going on. I mean, besides us going from mission to mission, and that's really it.
And I kept on looking at a bunch of stuff that Bungie isn't really explaining in the game, like, how do you earn, like, what's the benefit of joining a faction? How do you earn these, like, strange coins? What do those do? What do these currencies do? And then I look at another game, which I really like, in Dark Souls 2, and that kind of does the same things, but I'm okay with Dark Souls 2 doing it. But I'm not really okay with Destiny doing it. I don't know why there's that disjointedness for me. Maybe I have to think about it a little bit more, but maybe because I've played previous Dark Souls games, I'm not sure.
Isn't Dark Souls like kind of crafted around that? Well, it's not around it, but it's implemented.
The difficulty is more around what they don't explain.
Yeah, it's part of the game design to actually give you a little bit of information, isn't it? Or smaller amount than
more or less, yeah.
Though I don't know if this will intrigue you any more or less about the raid. A lot of people are saying that it has a lot of Dark Souls-esque feel to it as well.
Was that because of the first people that completed it died 1,600 times?
Well, besides that, but
I could get into it that it's because you're grinding so much at these upper levels that you sometimes become careless. I've done it.
Well,
and you just go in doing stupid things like, oh, my legendary shotgun could take this guy down in 2 shots.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And then you're finally fighting enemies that are your level or a little bit higher. Then you kind of get overzealous. Kind of like I did in the couple strike missions the other night. I'm just like, oh, well.
No,
and there's really no penalty for dying either.
Yeah, they said, I think not all the guys were actually 26 on that clan. I think
no, they weren't. There were some 28s and there's a 24, 25, something like that.
Well, just keep in mind that, there's got to be a lot, and they've said that, which is there's going to be a lot of teamwork that needs to be done playing these raids, or raid at this present time.
Yeah, they said there's going to be a lot of teamwork involved in these strikes, too. So everything they say, I take with a grain of salt.
Understandable, but I think we'll see more, and maybe we can discuss the part of the raid when we actually do it, when we're all close to at least level 26, that we can go through it and see how many hours it's going to take us to do it. But
I'm not concerned about how many hours it's going to take. I'm just concerned of if I get bored halfway.
I don't know. It's interesting. My thing to you is at least play through the whole raid. See how.
Oh, you know me. I will definitely finish the raid because
10 hours.
once we start it, we'll have a week to finish it. It's just the whole issue of getting 6 people together on our schedules
Right.
to play in a week span for 10 hours.
Well, I think a lot of
that's
that's
tough to do. It's almost like
this.
we have to sit down and play on a weekend, like 5
Create a
hours on 2
schedule,
days.
You know?
Yeah, but it kind of doesn't fit into our schedules right now because somebody has to go get married. in a
Sorry,
week.
my bad. If I don't do that, I'll be in bigger trouble.
Nah.
Hey,
What do you mean? Well, no, he's being truthful. He's saying bigger trouble because he knows he's already in trouble.
I do. It's like, I've been wanting to just sit down and play a lot of this and try to put a lot of time into this. I just looked at my time. I'm only at 18 hours. I mean, you guys are, what, 30?
2 hours ahead of you?
No, I only have 18 hours into this
He only
game.
has 20.
I only have 20, yeah.
Oh, 20?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well,
Jason-
then obviously.
Yeah.
And what does Jason have?
Well, it's actually accurate. Today when I logged on, or when I was actually logging off of Destiny, it actually shows you on Xbox Live how many hours you've been playing a game.
I wouldn't go by that counter.
Mine was accurate, though. Mine said 21 hours, and my Destiny app said like
Rarely.
20 hours, 20 and a half hours.
Yeah, rarely that timer is accurate.
Oh, yeah, because it says I played Tomb Raider for like 6 hours, and that's a lie. I played that game for like 15 at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting all
That is a
the collectibles and
15-hour long
stuff,
game.
yeah.
That's yeah.
Wait, I just lied. It was only 13 hours. I'm dyslexic.
Yeah, because I was about to
Makes
say you're bad at shooters, but you're not that bad.
So only 13 hours I played into this game. But like I was saying, I've been wanting to put a lot more hours into this game. And I'm trying, but it's tough with the schedules right now. And I think that's a lot of people's problem when it comes to playing this game is that, trying to find the time, especially a 10-hour raid, that's going to take a lot of time out of anybody's schedule and have to schedule that is going to be tough.
Like yeah, it's okay because like the story itself is 20 hours in the game, but you can play through that by yourself. I played through the most of it by myself.
Yeah,
and I was fine doing it by myself. It wasn't. A lot of people are saying that this game is horrible when you play by yourself, but I didn't find it being horrible. I thought it was actually more challenging by myself because I didn't have anyone there to pick me up if I fell down, kind of thing. But it's just, we're adults now. We all have jobs. We have lives. Well, most of us have lives. I don't. I work second shift, so I'm not allowed to have a life. But it's getting 6 people
together, yeah.
Yeah,
that are your friends, and to get them together to do one raid over, and the real bad thing is they only give you a week to do it.
Yeah, I think 10 days at least would have been better because, you can space it out to schedule maybe an hour a day. But right now it's sitting at, you have to do on average like a little under an hour and a half a day.
Yeah, and that's if
do
you're
it every day for 7 days
if you're
straight.
making progress like the first people did.
Yeah.
And,
And
not
organized.
everybody's going to be at their skill level, or they might be better than them, or who knows. But the fact is, it's hard to schedule my life around a game.
I think that's what.
And I think we're all in the same boat with that.
Yeah. I think that's with anybody. I mean, who has a life and has kids or has family or what have you, you've really, I mean, if you're smart enough and you want to keep your wife, you're going to do stuff with your family before you make this game a priority. And I think that's what a lot of people were complaining about. And that's why they're really looking into wanting to have a matchmaking, because you don't have to worry. Obviously you put a team together that can fit your schedule. And
they're trying to hype it up that you need to use actual teamwork and stuff like that. And like I said, I still don't really believe it yet, but I have to see it to believe it.
Exactly. I think we've hit pretty much every part of it. I mean, Kyle, did we actually hear exactly your thoughts on this? Actually, Dave?
Well, you know what? It's his first episode, so he is a little shy, just like you were your first 20. So hey, we'll forgive him this time around. I think he did an okay job.
Whoa, just got an okay, Kyle.
You're like the Destiny of podcasting right now. You got a solid foundation. Just you got to find a little bit more substance with your words and learn how to talk a little bit more. Learn to talk more freely. Learn to listen. Talking is not hard. I hear you do it all the time, even though it's only talking smack or relaying stupid stuff at the same time. But anyways, let me start the ramp down. Visit us at bitlapse.com. We have links to our YouTube channel, RSS feed. We're on Stitcher Radio. You can find us on iTunes. Anywhere you look, you can find us. It's awesome. You can find me on Twitter at David2Sly.
You can find me at JamieS7474.
And you can find me at high_voltage.
It's high with 2 I's, not the actual word high, because he doesn't know how to spell.
Nope.
But anyways, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time. See ya.